Hello everyone, I'm Lucy Fanger, CEO of On Technology Partners, and I'm proud to be sponsoring our new program, Women STaRs. In each episode, we will spotlight an amazing woman and the struggles and triumphs that she has faced. Then we will reflect and share her insights. Our goal is to engage, entertain, and explore the women stars in our world today. I hope you enjoy.
I want to thank you all for listening today. My name is Shanti Harkness, and I'm the Media Manager for On Technology Partners, a women-owned company addressing cybersecurity and risk. Join us as we share the reflections of women just like you that have survived struggles and embraced triumphs in their lives. Today, we'll be talking with Gia Bell. Gia is a passionate servant leader who's frequently called upon for her advocacy for autism and underrepresented populations. Gia was recently awarded the Women's Network Leadership Institute Laura Alio Emerging Leaders Award at the Greater Akron Chamber. She was also the recipient of the 30 for the Future Award through the Young Professional Network. Gia has received congressional recognition for her work on autism and has led the project at Cleveland Clinic Akron General to designate Cleveland Clinic the first adult autism-friendly hospital in the nation. Gia graduated from Kent State University and serves on the boards of United Way of Summit and Medina County, Women's Network Leadership Institute Leadership Council, Fund Development Task Force at the Akron Urban League Young Professionals, PAC Committee, Julie Billiart School, Ohio Gap Closers, and Single Parent Alliance. She's also a member of the Autism Society of Greater Akron, MENA Women and Leadership, Women's Network Leadership Institute, Change Direction Committee, and the Greater Akron Chamber. Gia, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
So before we begin, Gia, why don't you tell us something that others may not know about you or something exciting about yourself?
So a lot of people don't know that I used to play basketball. I was a point guard and I played throughout elementary, middle school, and high school. That's something that a lot of people don't know about me. I don't really seem like a sports type person, but I really enjoy basketball and I used to play basketball.
Nice. All right. Well, let's dive right in. So we all know triumphs don't come without struggles. So talk to us a little bit about what some of your biggest struggles have been, and this can be either professionally or personally, and how you were able to get through those struggles and what kind of an impact it had on your life or career.
So I grew up, I came from a really rough environment and I had some life challenges growing up with a single mother and we didn't have a support system. When I was 19 years old, my mother and I had to get custody of two of my nieces and nephew, and I raised them since I was 19 years old. I was actually in college at the time pursuing a degree to become a doctor. I had to take some time off of school, and during this time, I had two kids, and one of my sons was actually born with autism. So I had a lot of setbacks and barriers that delayed my career and my goals. I actually didn't graduate from college until I was 33. And at that time is when I started my professional career. And I continued to work hard and overcome whatever challenges that I had or I faced. And I've really been able to move forward since then. I actually was able to go from being in a secretary role to advancing my career to becoming a manager at an organization and managing all of their clinical and non-clinical training. I also went from not being involved in the community to being involved on several boards and involved in several community events and organizations. So nothing has ever came easy for me. I've had a lot of challenges and I've always had to work hard.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, and how fortunate that you were able to get custody of your nieces and nephews and to be able to raise them rather than, unfortunately having children go into the system where unfortunately treatment is not always optimal or in their best interest. So I was very fortunate and wonderful that you were able to do that.
I definitely feel like that was part of God's plan for me. I learned a lot from raising my niece and nephews. I also was able to pour into them and save them from entering the system. And that's, to me, that's extremely important, and that's doing God's work. So I'm extremely proud that I was able to do that. they've all actually graduated from high school and they are headed to college. So that's, to me, an accomplishment.
That's fantastic. So, Gia, did you have any tips or tricks or anything that you used to help you get through those challenging times?
Actually, I really don't have any tips or tricks. What I do have is I have God and I have a lot of prayer. I don't mean to seem overly religious, but everything looked impossible. And my relationship with God and staying faithful in Him and believing in Him has really helped me get through a lot of things. It's also empowered me. It's given me strength when I feel like I couldn't do things. My relationship with God is extremely important. And that is my tips and tricks for everything.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it's the saving grace for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, it really is a source of strength, like you said, to get through those challenging times and to recognize and understand that, you'll get through it. One way or another, it might seem difficult and challenging in the moment, but there's a greater purpose for whatever that is. That at some point down the road, you'll understand why you had to go through that and how it made you stronger or more prepared for what was coming next.
And I truly believe that I've been able to grow from both good and bad experiences. I definitely believe it's part of God's process and part of His plans. And all of the experiences that I've had, I've learned from each one of them. So whether it was a bad experience, like I said, or a good experience, I've been able to grow and learn from that. And I'm more resilient because of those experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Gia, let's take a moment now and focus on your biggest triumph. Can you share what that triumph was and what made it so great for you?
Yes. One of my biggest triumphs is having to put my career on hold to take care of my family. I had some life challenges with my family. I also had a son who has autism, and I really received a grim diagnosis from the doctors about my son. They told me that he would never be able to talk or live a normal life. And I am very, very, very open about mental health. I feel like mental health is extremely important. A lot of people are ashamed of having mental health challenges, and getting that diagnosis that my son had autism and also going through all those challenges with my family really put me in a dark place. I felt hopeless. I was really depressed. And I prayed about it and I had to seek treatment. And after seeking treatment, I was able to overcome those challenges and move forward with my life. And part of moving forward with my life was beginning to work on my goals again, beginning to believe that whatever the doctor said about my son, that I would be able to overcome those challenges, and I would work and do my very best to advocate and help my son become the best person he can become. So I actually worked full time with my son while I was getting him treatment for his autism and getting him the supports and resources he needed. And I also was able at that time, with all of those other challenges, to graduate from college at 33 years old. So that's one of my biggest challenges. I was able to graduate school. I was able to get my son the assistance that he needed with his autism. And I also was able to buy a house at the same time. So I'm really proud of all of those things. And that was, to me, one of my biggest, hardest times and one of the biggest things I've had to overcome.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's just definitely a testament to resilience and perseverance.
Yes, I believe that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely shows how much that power of prayer and belief in a higher power can really help you get through the most trying, challenging times in your life to greater things. And
yes, my son is doing amazing today. He was nonverbal after getting him the help he needed and the early intervention. He actually is talking in full sentences. He's able to communicate well. He goes to school. He's doing age appropriate things, and everything has worked out. So I'm really grateful for that.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And that's something that I wish more people understood, that just because, and I'm not talking poorly about doctors, but just because the doctor gives you, a grim diagnosis or, says, that XYZ is going to be the outcome doesn't mean that that's the end all be all. That, there are usually a number of different steps that you can take. You might need to do a little bit of research and, maybe some changes to your lifestyle or your environment or your treatment protocol, but there's always things that you can do. Just because a doctor says that it's going to be XYZ doesn't mean that that's always the case. And I know so many parents that have been told something similar to what you shared, that they didn't accept that. That wasn't good enough for them. And so, they were the parent. And so they decided to take it upon themselves to research and to find out what else they could do to give their child the best opportunity and the best chance to thrive. And
you could if you could be a witness to just my testimony, how everything looks completely impossible. Everything, it seemed that God put all of these things in place for a reason and at the right time. When my son first was diagnosed with autism, I had just bought a home, and this home that I just bought, I was actually told I wasn't going to be able to afford the home, and the home was out of my price range, and that you're not going to get that house. And I was told everything negative, and I kept pressing forward, and I kept saying, I believe that this is my home and things like that. And the reason why I'm sharing this part of the story is because the home that I bought, my next door neighbor is a speech therapist. So my son was nonverbal with autism, and I bought a home that they said I wouldn't get next door to a speech therapist.
Wow.
And then to make the story sweeter, I was having a rough time finding a school for my son that could accommodate his needs with autism. And shortly after I bought my home, here erupts the school around the corner, Julie Billiard School, that provides services and education for children with disabilities such as autism and dyslexia and things like that. So it's just, it was amazing. You would have to have been here to witness all the things that happened that just fell into place, so definitely part of the testimony for me.
It sounds like some divine intervention right there.
Yes.
And I forget exactly how you phrased it, but it reminded me of this quote that I was told by a spiritual mentor of mine. And he said that, the obstacles in our life are like hurdles. So when a person runs a hurdle, they aren't slowed down by the hurdles. They are actually trained to get faster with each hurdle that they overcome. And I always thought that was really fascinating, that instead of slowing down by an obstacle in their path, they speed up, they get stronger, they get faster. And so it's always been a wonderful reminder to me in my life that don't let this hurdle knock you down. Use it to make you stronger, to make you faster, to make you better. And it just, what you shared just reminded me of that.
Yes, and I totally believe one of my favorite quotes is that difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. And I have really had an extremely difficult road, but it's leading to a beautiful destination. I believe it's going to continue to lead to a beautiful destination.
That's a great quote.
Thank you.
So, Gia, as you shared, we juggle a multitude of different things. There's career, family, household responsibilities. Sometimes there's illnesses and caregiving. So how do you maintain a work-life balance? And what do you think that employers could do to be more supportive of that balance?
What I do to maintain my work-life balance is I put my children and my family first. I can always get another job. I can always make money somewhere else. I can always work on my career and work on my goals, but I won't always have the opportunity to be a mother and to raise my children. So I always put my children first, whether it means I have to stay up late to get some assignments done, or if I have to do different things, whatever I need to do, I put my children first. I definitely pray a lot because it seems like I can't get through anything without prayer. And I definitely think that, working for an employer who provides you more flexibility would be helpful to a lot of women, especially myself. A lot of women need that flexibility. Just because you have children doesn't mean that you don't value your job, and doesn't mean that you can't do a good job and be a great employee. You do need flexibility, and you need someone that can accommodate you, and you can provide the same quality of work.
And I like how you mentioned putting your family first and that you can always get another job or, work on your career. And I think that's really important to remember, because we get so, we often get so wrapped up in our position and in our career, we think that we can't make changes, or that, we're not replaceable, when in reality, we're all replaceable, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're replaceable, you're flexible, so when things change, you're not so dependent on one job or one path, that you have other opportunities. And when we allow ourselves to be flexible and understanding that, we maintain our integrity and our dignity, I think, in a much better way. So we're not allowing our human dignity to be degraded in a position just because we think we can't find another job somewhere else.
Yes. And you always have to be willing to advocate for yourself and stand up and ask for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people, it's simply making the ask or requesting, I need these accommodations. I'm a valuable employee. I can do these great things for the organization, but my family comes first. I won't have forever to raise my children. My children, they've grown up in the blink of an eye already. So I only have so many years left to teach them what I want them to know, and to prepare them to be successful. And that's the most important role that I can ever have. That's one of the things that defines success for me, is raising successful, happy, and healthy adults. So I want my children to be successful. More importantly, I want them to be happy.
That's wonderful. That actually ties into my next question, which is, how do you define success for yourself? And then if you have any tips or habits that you use to help you be successful or to feel successful.
So I measure success by the impact that I make and the lives that I change. So I want to be able to, first and foremost, provide opportunities, resources, and support people who come from similar backgrounds like myself. Give them the opportunity to move forward. So turn back and give back to those who are in similar situations or in places where I started. And more importantly, raising my children to be happy and successful, to me, is success. And I think that in order to do those things, you have to be willing to give back. You have to be willing to be resilient, and you have to know that your life journey and your calling is way bigger than you. So what I do now, I hope that it impacts generations to come.
I don't have anything to add to that. I think that was a wonderful response and very inspiring.
Thank you. My life goal is to help people. And so that is what is successful to me. I define that as the number one definition of my success, is being able to help others and impact others. That at the end of the day, if I've done that, I feel successful.
I love it. So Gia, let's take a moment now, and if you would reflect on something that you wish you would have known sooner in life, and share that with us.
I wish I wouldn't have doubted myself as much as I did when I was younger. I thought that a lot of things that I wanted to achieve were out of my reach. And in all reality, everything is within my reach. It's all about the decisions that I make. It's all about how hard I want to work. And it's all about believing in myself. So I wish when I was younger, I would have believed in myself more and not doubted myself as much. And I wish when I had challenges that I didn't give up. I felt like at some points I gave up and I felt hopeless. And instead of giving up, I wish I would have kept moving forward. I might have had to make some smaller steps to get to my goals, but I would have still reached them when I was younger, versus waiting till I'm older like I am now and trying to go after those goals. I just wish I would have kept going when I was younger.
Definitely excellent advice, for sure. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, whether they're a woman or a man, that, we're our own worst critics
Yes.
oftentimes. And it's definitely a challenge and an ongoing process to overcome that.
Yes, definitely. I definitely wish that everybody has obstacles and things in their life. And I think that it's just important to not give up on yourself and to continue and keep going. So I wish I would have done that when I was younger, or I wish I would have known that sooner. Don't give up and keep going, Gia. Even though you're facing these challenges and obstacles in your life, just keep going.
Excellent. So this ties nicely into our next question, which is, what advice would you give to young women beginning their careers, or perhaps even women that are thinking about changing careers?
I would tell young women and all women to dream big and don't put limits on what you can accomplish. I truly believe that anything that you dream of or you want to do is achievable. So figure out what it is that you want to do and make a plan, and keep working on your plan until you reach your goal. So nothing is out of your reach. A lot of people think that, oh, wow, that's too hard. That's something I probably will never do this, but I don't believe that. I believe whatever it is that you want to achieve, it's within your reach. You can do it. And lastly, like I said earlier, I look at life challenges as lessons learned and part of the process and part of God's process. So when you go through things, embrace the things you go through and learn from them and grow from them, because you'll definitely become wiser and more resilient.
Excellent words of advice. So Gia, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how would they get in touch with you?
So I'm currently working on some projects, so I don't want to give out my business contact information, but someone can reach me via email at giabell37@gmail.com. And you're welcome to reach me via phone at 330-338-4012. I do live in the Akron area, and I do respond to all of my emails and phone calls or text messages.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Gia, it has been an absolute privilege speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time and for sharing all of your, wonderful experiences and inspirations and words of advice.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that I was able to share some knowledge and make an impact on someone or change someone's mind who may be thinking they can't do something.
Thank you so much. On Technology Partners wants to thank you for joining us on this episode of Women STaRs. If you'd like to appear on a future podcast episode, or if you'd like to nominate a woman to be interviewed for Women STaRs, please email stars@ontechpartners.com. My name is Shanti Harkness. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for joining us on today's journey. Remember, you are all women stars. If you wish to learn more about our Women STaRs program or want to be a guest on our show, contact us at stars@ontechpartners.com. And thank you to On Technology Partners for helping me make this program a reality. Remember, we at On Technology Partners want to help you protect your team from hackers. To learn more about our cybersecurity services, go to ontechnologypartners.com.